Welcome, Kristin. I'm going to let you introduce yourself so I don't botch your last name, and you can tell us all about what you do, and I'll let you take over.
Sounds great. Hi, my name is Kristin Haymauer. I'm a financial coach, and I help empower women to be more confident and around their finances, because finances is such a touchy subject, right? And it can be hard to get your finances together. So I empower women to feel more confident and to get them more empowered around their finances. So yeah, I have a lot of great stuff to share tonight. It's basically the 5 principles of getting your finances in order. And I was just telling Reagan that my Canva slides aren't working tonight, so you're just going to see me tonight, and I'm just going to read off of my notes. So please bear with me. Okay, so the first topic that I want to start off with, which is the most important, is our mindset. And I know in Danielle's speaking, she had talked a bit about mindset as well, because this literally affects like all of our aspects of our lives. So I just want to explain the significance of a healthy mindset. Like, our mindset is such a big part of our financial journey, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. We want to think of our mindset as like a compass that guides your financial decisions and behaviors. And you're probably going to hear me say a lot about compass and roadmaps, because that's how I see my financial journey, and I help my clients with their financial journeys, because it's like a compass, it's like a roadmap. A healthy financial mindset is critical because it shapes how we perceive money, how we make choices, how we respond to setbacks or challenges, literally anything. That our money affects all aspects of our lives. It could affect our work. It could affect our relationships. So this is why it's important to work on this. Just as a positive attitude can influence our overall being, a healthy mindset can, with our finances, can impact that as well. So it's not just about how much money we have or we make, but it's rather about thinking about like how we manage it as well. And not a lot of people, like I said, realize about how important our mindset and our relationship with money is. And it's one of the things that I really like to talk about, because it's really important. But if you don't do that, that's okay. But I think it's now we just want to realize, where are we with our relationship with money, and just kind of give yourself an assessment. How do you kind of think about money right now? How do you act towards money? How do you act towards challenges or setbacks? Because this is going to be a reflection of maybe where you are with your financial situation now. So there's a couple common money beliefs and attitudes that might hinder financial success that I found in myself when I was going through my journey, and also my clients. And number one, and you might have heard this a lot, is scarcity mindset. It's usually the number one that hinders financial success. So this anxiety, this financial, or this scarcity mindset, is like anxiety that can manifest in like hoarding behaviors, where we like cautiously spend. We need to cut back on everything that we enjoy, because we think that's what will help us with our goals. But that's not the reality. That can actually make us feel really, really restrictive. And that actually could put us further behind as well. The scarcity mindset can also make it challenging to save. It can make it challenging to continue with our journey. Let's just say you're trying to pay off your debt, and then you had a setback, and then you had the scarcity mindset, and that could derail your progress as well. So that's why you kind of want to really work on that mindset. Another one is fear of money. Some people find dealing with money very intimidating and overwhelming, which is okay, because money is such a touchy subject, and not a lot of people know how to manage it, especially if you grew up like not learning about money, right? Like my parents didn't teach me about money. It's not taught in schools, it's not taught in universities, which I think it really needs to be, because these students are in debt and they don't know how to manage their money. So it can be very overwhelming and intimidating, and it could be rooted in past money mistakes or financial mistakes, and can really affect that confidence. This fear also leads to avoidance and procrastination, which is something that I used to do when it comes to managing money. This could be putting off budgeting, avoiding your bank account because you just don't want to see those numbers, or delaying making important financial decisions. And this is something that I did when I was going through my journey. Another important one is keeping up with others. And this is something that I did as well. I have a question is, have you ever felt pressured to keep up with other people, maybe like friends or family financially? You see them buying something, you're like, oh, maybe I need that. It's like this belief that you need to match your lifestyle to theirs, right? And that's nice, but you have to see what your situation is. What's your income like? How much expenses do you have? Like, no one's situation is the same. And that's the thing. I think there's so many people are like, oh, my situation is just like your situation. There's no situations the same. And I see that all of the time. So this desire to compare and compete with others can lead to really overspending. And it's just like the movie Keeping Up with the Joneses. That's exactly how it is. And that's something that we don't want, right? We don't want to get ourselves more into debt, or, always overspending and just feeling that guilt of overspending and trying to keep up with your friends or family. And this could lead to, accumulating more debt. And that can put a lot of more stress on you, which is something that I don't want for you. So other ways to cultivate a positive mindset is gratitude and mindfulness. So a way to foster a positive mindset is through gratitude, and which is what I do for myself and I find really, really helpful. It involves shifting the focus from the lack that you may be feeling right now to what you have. And this is something that I struggled with because I was in a lot of debt, and my coach at the time asked me to be grateful for my debt. And I didn't know how to do that because I wanted to pay it off. But once I started to appreciate, the financial blessings that, my credit cards did give me when I needed them, really switched things around. It really shifted my mindset as well. So I encourage you to consider, keeping a gratitude journal, or a piece of paper and pen, or whatever you have, or maybe on your computer, and just practice, regularly acknowledging what you're grateful for your financial situation that day, right? Maybe it's paying a bill, right? Electricity, like that's something to be grateful to because it's giving you light. For your house, whether you rent it or you own it, you still have a roof over your head. For the food, yes, these may be expenses, but it's something that that we need to be grateful for too, right? So by just recognizing and appreciating these, you're going to see that change and that your perspective, and develop more of a better relationship with money within yourself as well. And these practices can really reshape your belief in yourself as well with money. Another thing I wanted to talk about is goals. So this is the second principle, and the importance of setting goals. So many people have so many goals and just get overwhelmed with all these goals. Like, which one do I go towards first? And I noticed that a lot of people aren't specific in their goals. So Number one is getting really clear on your goals. So setting really clear financial goals. So picture like you're planning a road trip, but there's like no destination in mind. So you have no idea where you're heading, right? So you're just en route and you have no idea where you're going. So it's a bit of like navigating the world of finance without a plan, I guess you'd say. So when it comes to managing your money, having a really, really clear plan and goal is very crucial, because without them, it's challenging to actually reach your goals, right? If you're trying to pay off your credit card, you need to be specific on how you're going to do that. So it's about connecting your money towards your dreams as well. Oh, sorry, something just happened to my computer here. It's about connecting your money to your dreams and using it as a tool to bring those dreams to life. Because you can still live your life while you're paying down your debt and while you're putting money into your savings. And it's a powerful way to ensure that your financial decisions have purpose as well. And the direction, guiding you to a steadily towards the future that you envisioned. And just envision of you reaching your goals will really help you with your mindset as well. So you probably heard of the term the SMART framework, and this is what I do for myself. So I want to quickly discuss the SMART goal setting framework. So the S is for SMART, and it stands for specific. So we want to be specific with our financial goals. So instead of saying, I just want to save money, you want to say, I want to save $10,000 for a down payment for my home in 2 years, right? If you can see how specific that is, because there's lots of people that say, oh, I just want to save money. But what does that actually mean, right? And you want to put a why behind it too. Like, what does that $10,000 actually mean? Like, what is that actually for? And M is for measurable. So your goals should be measurable, which means that you want to track your progress and know when you can achieve them. So for example, if your goal is to reduce a credit card, you might want to make it by saying, I want to pay off $5,000 on my credit card within the next 12 months, right? So here you're measuring your progress by tracking how much you paid off your debt each month. And A means achievable. So goals that are realistic and attainable within your means, right? So you want to understand your situation and how much you have at the end of the month to be able to reach your goals as well. So it's essential to set your goals that are challenging but not impossible as well. Because if we set impossible goals, then we might get discouraged, and then we just might fall off track and just don't want to continue with it, right? And this then can make us fall back into the position we're already in. So if you're earning a certain income, you want to set a goal for, let's just say, 100,000 in 1 year. That might not be achievable for you, right? So it's critical to set goals that align with your situation and your capabilities and your goals. So relevant, goals that align with your values and your financial priorities. This is a really, really important one. What do you value? And what are your financial priorities? Because they should matter to you and be relevant to your life. Otherwise, you might not be motivated to pursue your goals if they aren't really valuable to you, or if they aren't really a priority. So that's a really important question to ask yourself, is like, what are my values in my financial situation, and what's my priority? And T is time bound. So goals that should be defined like in a time frame. So if you want to save $3,000, let's just say, for a trip to Europe, but you want to be like more specific. Okay, I want to save $3,000 for a trip next summer. Like, what's your time frame when you want to save that money? Because this sets a specific deadline and gives you a sense of urgency and it helps you to stay on track as well, but also you want to make sure that it's realistic as well. So I wanted to talk about how these goals can motivate and guide you. So these can be powerful motivators, setting those specific goals and just like looking at them and your why. That really helped me motivate me because I got so excited and I started feeling that I can achieve these goals. Like the feeling that how excited I am to go to Europe next year and then I'm able to save that $3,000. Like that gave me goosebumps. So I want you to envision your goals and just get into that feeling and how that would feel when when you achieve that, not if, when you achieve them. When you have clear financial goals, each financial choice you make becomes a step forward to achieving those goals as well. And the third one is budgeting. And I want to talk about why it's essential. Because a lot of people give budgeting a bad rep because maybe it didn't work for them. And there could be so many ways why it didn't work for them. Maybe it was restrictive. Some budgets actually just don't work for people, right? And that's okay. But they need to, I feel like everyone needs to have some sort of a plan. And for me, I don't like the word budget. I usually call it a personal plan because it's so unique to everyone. Like I said, no one's situation is the same. So that's why I call it a personalized plan because it's so unique. And it provides control over your money, allowing you to align your spending with your priorities. So this will help you to see the areas where maybe you're overspending as well. And it ensures you to live within your means as well, right? And avoiding getting more into debt or financial trouble. It helps achieve financial goals by allocating resources automatically. And I'll get into that in a minute. And it prepares for unexpected expenses and emergencies. And we'll get into that in a minute too. But a budget gives you, it's like your roadmap again, right? Guiding you through life's financial challenges as well, helping you stay towards your goals and making informed and intentional choices with your money. So it's good to be very specific with your plan and to understand where is my money actually going? What do I actually have coming in? What do I have coming out? And how much do I have left over that I could put towards my goals? So I wanted to give you some tips. So there's so many budgeting apps. There's no right or wrong budgeting app to use if you would like to use a budgeting app or a software that it could be just streamline the process. But I just want to say that there's budgeting apps aren't 100% accurate. So just wanted to be clear on that because I've been on a few and they weren't 100% accurate, what I found. And I'm in a couple financial groups, and there's a lot of people that say that, it's not 100% accurate. So we just have to be mindful of that. But these tools streamline and tracking of your income, of your expenses, helping you see where your money is going. There's so many apps and it categorizes your expenses, setting spending limits, which mine does, and I really like it because it'll tell me like, oh, hey, this is your limit that you had on this category. You're close to, reaching, that limit that you have. And that's another thing that you want to be realistic on, and I'll get into that in a minute, but you want to be realistic on your setting your categories. And there's also spreadsheets that you can create and use as well. There's lots online as well that you can use. If you know exactly all of your expenses, your income, you could just plug that into a spreadsheet. And being realistic. So one of the keys to being successful to having your plan is being realistic. It's so critical because you know, with me doing audits, I've seen so many people not setting their categories realistically, I guess. This can really help you achieve your spending limits and align with your income. So let's just say, you know, you only put $50 of going out a month, but you actually spend maybe 100 or 150. So you just have to ask yourself, okay, like how much do I really spend on going out, or how much do I really spend on going groceries? And groceries, I know, and going out, I know it's kind of, it varies, but just kind of look through your statement and how much do you generally spend? And then you want to add another $50 on top of that, because we want to make sure that you're not going over. And if you find yourself going over, then in your budget or in your app, you want to make sure that you're setting it higher then, right? Because when we're going over, then you can see that disappointment in yourself. Because I know I had that. I was like, oh yeah, you know, I'm going to go out and I'm only going to spend $50. And then I go out and I spend 75. And then I come home and I feel guilty and I feel upset because I had my goal at 50, and that was for the month. So budgeting should not feel like an exercise in sacrifice, right? It should be practical, sustainable, and it should be flexible. It should be exciting because it's helping you learn how to manage your money, and as also get to enjoy your life, like life's pleasures or experiences. And if you find that your budget is restrictive, then you want to take a look and see why it is restrictive, right? And I know I made myself really restrictive, which is why I didn't really follow it. And that's why I hired a coach when I was going through this. So I would review and adjust and regularly review your budget to make sure that you're aligned with your goals, that you're on track, and if you need to make any necessary adjustments. And I do this weekly, and I get my clients to do it weekly as well, especially if you're just getting started, right? And especially if you have, you know, so many goals, you want to make sure that you're on track. Sorry, I haven't asked if anyone had any questions. I hope everyone is good. There's so much information. Awesome. The other one is debt, and this is the scary one. So there's lots of various types of debt, and debt can come in like various forms, and it's critical to understand the types of debt that you have. The common ones are credit cards, student loans, mortgages, personal loans, car loans, line of credits. And it's critical to understand that not all debt is bad debt. And you're probably like, what? Isn't all debt bad debt? To me, no. Yes, it's stressful, but it also can be manageable. And I want to go into why I don't think all of it's bad. I just want you to think about for a second, how did your credit card help you when you're in need? How did your student loan help you when you're in need? How did your maybe personal loan help you when you're in need? So to me, debts help us in those situations. And now we just need to understand how we can manage them. So I don't think all debt is bad debt, especially like mortgages. That's an investment to you, right? But a lot of had some clients who are like, but like, isn't all like debt bad? Like, I have credit cards, I have a car loan, but what did that help you with at the time? And then that's where the gratitude comes in too, is like, how did your credit card help you at the time? Just really appreciate that. Did it help you get groceries? Did it maybe help you pay some bills at the time? Right? Now, I wanted to talk about why debt can be problematic when it's not managed correctly, like how I had managed my debt, because I felt, well, I was young at the time, and I had credit cards, and I just went willy-nilly with my credit cards. And like I said, I wasn't taught how to like manage my money or my debt or anything like that by my parents or family at all. So it came with a lot of financial stress and anxiety. Like debt can be emotionally taxing and affect your overall being, and it could reduce that financial flexibility that you have. Like my large burden of debt limited my ability to save. It limited my ability to go out, or if I did go out, I would add on to that debt. um, I wasn't able to put more into my emergency fund. So that's why it's really important to understand like how can we manage our debt that we have. And I have a couple strategies for you to reduce. And it's very important to have a debt plan, like a strategy, because this is how you're going to manage it. So one popular one is the snowball method, which maybe you heard of. If you haven't, this is how it works. So you want to start paying your smallest debt that you owe while making minimum payments on the rest of your debts. So once you paid off your smallest one first, then you're going to take that money that you're paying on the smallest one and apply to the second smallest one. And then that way you're just going to kind of continue. So this approach offers quick wins, because you could just have maybe a $500 credit card or debt, whatever. And then, so when you do it this way and you see that quick win, you start to really get that motivation. It's like crossing the item off of your list, your to-do list, right? So it really helps motivate you. It's those small victories too that can inspire you to keep going. Okay, the next one is the avalanche method, and this one focuses on paying off the highest interest rate, regardless what the debt size is. But by targeting the highest interest debt first, you save the most money interest and over time. I wouldn't say like it's a large amount that you're going to save, but I guess it depending on how much debt you have. But it could be quite a bit. It could be hundreds. Um, and then this will take a little longer though. So some of my clients like to do the snowball first because it's quicker wins. So there's another method that I like to mention is the custom one. So I do this with a lot of my clients, and it's like, which debt stresses you out the most, right? Because I want you to feel comfortable that you can achieve this. And which one would you like to achieve first? Because let's just say I recommend the snowball, but that doesn't feel good to you, because that's not the one that maybe doesn't stress you out the most. So the custom one is just basically going from what stresses you out the most to the least. So that's the one that's not on the internet. That's just the one that I create for my clients. So, and please let me know if you have any questions. So like I said, both strategies work. There's no right or wrong strategy. I know there's so much out there saying, oh, you should do the avalanche, or oh, you should do the snowball. There's no right or wrong way. It's whatever strategy that you think that you will follow. And that's what I tell my clients too, is which one do you feel more comfortable with? Which one do you think you will stick to? The choice just depends on your financial goals and your personal preference, right? If you're motivated to quick wins, then that's when you want to do this, to do the snowball. Or on the other hand, if you want to minimize your interest costs, then you want to do the avalanche. And it's the consistency as well, the consistency to pay down your debt. The goal is to obviously become debt-free, right? And gain that financial freedom. So whether you choose the snowball or the avalanche, it's whatever matters to you the most. And the last one is savings. This is the one that gets missed in budgets and just in general. I hear a lot of people saying like, I don't have savings, or I never thought about, starting to save, or I don't know where to start. So saving is essential because it provides you with that safety net, whether it's for emergencies, whether it's to go on vacation, whether it's to save for a home. And especially if it's for emergencies, life can throw us curveballs. So we want to make sure that, we're prepared for that, whether it's like medical expenses, car repair, job loss. Look what happened, 3 years ago. A lot of people had to use their emergency savings, but a lot of people didn't have that. So that's why it's really important to start just building that. And there's a rule that you need to have 3 to 6 months of expenses. I think you need a little more, but that overwhelms people because that's such a large number, right? Thinking about 3 to 6 months of my expenses, like you're just like, whoa. But you just want to start small and then it'll add up over time. Because then once you start to pay off your debt, then you can maybe put more into your emergency fund or into your savings. Having savings is a place where you can feel at ease and reduce that financial stress. So savings is like an engine that powers your dreams and your financial goals. It's having that comfortable safety net. And whether your goals is for retirement, buying a home, maybe sending your kids to college, traveling the world, saving money is what makes these dreams achievable, attainable. And there's so many various accounts. So depending on what you're saving for, but I recommend, having your emergency fund separate from everything else, because that should just be emergency only. And then I recommend having a separate account for your vacation, a separate account for Christmas, because sometimes I see, and this happened with me, is I was saving for a vacation, and then I was also saving for Christmas, but I had it all in one account, and I actually had an emergency all in one account. I overspent on Christmas, and then I had to use my credit card for my vacation. That I am like, well, I thought I was saving for this, but then I realized I overspent on Christmas, and then here I was actually dipping into my emergency fund as well. So depending on what your bank, I think some banks only allow you so many savings accounts. But I know there's a lot of banks that allow you to have different savings accounts, but it depends on kind of what you're saving for. So regular savings accounts offer easy access to your money. So emergency fund should be long-term, and same with the 401k as well, your retirement. And one powerful principle that I like to highlight is pay yourself first. And a lot of people don't. So it means before you pay your bills or spend money on anything else, you want to set aside a little bit of a portion to save. And basically just treat it as a savings, as a non-negotiable expense, right? Because I see a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to wait till the end of the month, and maybe they don't have money at the end of the month. And then they're like, well, I was supposed to put money into my savings and now I don't. And then they feel discouraged. So for me, when I started my journey, I started paying myself first, and I saw my savings really grow a lot. And that's what I recommend to everybody. This approach ensures that you prioritize yourself and your financial future, and you learn how to basically live within your means, but also, not feeling restricted as well, right? Another thing you want to consider is automating your savings. So not necessarily like everything, but what's more important to you. For sure, I'd automate emergency funds and your retirement if your retirement isn't with your job. So what I like to say is kind of like set it and forget it approach with my emergency fund and with my retirement, because it's just like, it's kind of like left your bank account and it went into my savings account. So savings is just not about money. It's about securing your financial peace and making your dreams become a reality. It's having that financial security and that financial stability and just feeling comfortable where you're at and prioritizing your savings and automating it, and keeping your eyes on your financial goals. It's really going to help your journey, and saving is just that field that kind of like takes you where you want to go and just feeling more secure in your financial situation as well. So those are the 5 principles that I have for getting your finances in order. Does anyone have any questions?
I think it's for me personally, it was such good information, but I'm just trying to think. I think I have a million questions about how to actually apply it, like it's principles, but I'm like, okay, when you talk about tracking, what do you use or recommend to use to track your savings and track your debts? Not like, I mean, are we looking at this all the time? How are we tracking that?
So this can be 3 different ways. Because I ask my clients, is how you want to track them where it's not going to be overwhelming. So I have clients that like spreadsheets, that love spreadsheets. I have clients that like everything kind of in one place, right? So I have clients that actually track their expenses on their phone. So in their notes app. I have clients that track through their spreadsheets. So it's kind of asking yourself, what's not going to overwhelm me, right? So I have clients that have a budgeting app, but I have clients that have spreadsheets. So this, again, like everyone's situation is so unique and different. And it's also like, what am I actually going to stick to as well? What's not going to overwhelm me? Because there's busy people maybe that don't have time to look at spreadsheets all the time. Or maybe there's people that don't like spreadsheets. I have clients that don't like spreadsheets, so we don't use them. So for you, it's like asking yourself, do I want a spreadsheet? Because there's so many ways that you can organize, your debt, your tracking, your budget. So just asking yourself, what's not going to overwhelm me? And what way can I track this? So it could be either way on your phone. You can get apps. You can use spreadsheets. I'm just trying to think of other ways that, but that's does that help?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Matthew and I have used Mint for a long time, and that we can put all our accounts, kind of link it and do it on our phone. The challenge always comes down to, do we do it? It's like anything. It works if you work it. But that has been an area of growth. Gosh, we'll be married 20 years in January, and it's been an area of growth for 20 years. I mean, we've made progress, but it is still an area of growth. And I think
for sure,
accountability is so essential, because I don't know why so often the finances is so heavy.
yes.
It's so heavy. I mean, one of our best strategies is that before we sit down to talk about finances or pay bills or whatever, if we're doing it together, we pray first. Otherwise, forget about it. It doesn't go well if we don't pray first.
Yeah, and you're right. Finances is so heavy. It's such a touchy subject, right? And I've had clients like you too that if they don't have that accountability, they're not going to do it. But then another thing you want to ask yourself is like, why don't you want to do it? Is it maybe because you don't want to see maybe your numbers? There's so many different reasons maybe why you don't want to do it. So it's just having that awareness, like, why don't I want to look at this?
I
Right?
know scarcity is such a thief. It just robs the joy, and it's like, ooh, just, an opportunity to do some deep work.
Yes. I
Ooh.
know. I know. It took me a very long time and it was hard. It was really hard. But then at the same time, it's like, this is what we need if we want to achieve those goals that we have. And it's also another thing, as I didn't mention this, but like acknowledging your why, just remembering your why you're doing this. Your why behind, I want to pay off my credit card, your why behind, I want to pay off my student loan or whatever that might be. Connecting your why to your goals can really be like, okay, yes, I got this. I want to do this.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, just because I know everybody here, like when you think about tracking and keeping up with this, I immediately feel like an old memory pop up of shame of like not having enough to put in there. And the sentence in my head is like, you have been irresponsible. You've caused this. And so I'm just like, I despise it. I run from that emotion. So I was just curious if you guys are all kind of like aware of what is your roadblock, and if you're kind of like, oh, what's going on in there?
Yes, I like that. There's so many roadblocks that can what's the word that I'm looking for? Have those memories from the past. I know for me too, like when I was turned 18, I got my first credit card, and like I mentioned, I was irresponsible because I was 18. I'm like, yes, my first credit card, here we go. Right. But this is again where your mindset works comes into play as well. And that's why I implemented into my one-to-one clients, because it's such a huge part of your journey. And it's not, your mindset work isn't going to go away with your finances, because I still do it as well. There's times where I'm just like, oh, really? But then I'm just like, look how far I've come, right? And it's just like a continuous, and your mindset is with anything of your life, right? It's always a continuous work. Anything else? I hope this has
No.
been helpful.
Yes, no, it was helpful. I just remember, in my early 20s, my thing was literally like overdraft fees, right? I didn't get into credit card debt, but it was just like with my debit card. I remember having like a series of like overdraft fees. And I was dating my now husband, and he was like, how can this happen to you? He was just so upset if it happened to me. And to tell you the truth, if it wasn't for my husband, our finances wouldn't be in the shape that they are today. Because I mean, thankfully we don't have any debt. I mean, thankfully, we don't have credit card debt. We literally are fortunate that
Yes.
we are in a good place where we can be more in a place of investing than having to go through these steps. But if I was on my own, it would be a whole different story. So, in the past probably 5 years, I've actually taken it upon myself to say, okay, why you have to actually, you, Marisol, not you and your husband, because as I said, I depend a lot on his wisdom and his knowledge on finances. But how can I, just as an individual, be, have a different mindset around money, around more than anything, managing money. I don't think that I have a problem with spending. I have a problem with just the administrative part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And even when, my husband and I just, log all of he's the kind of person that is like, you have to give me a receipt for everything from our joint account. I need to keep track of everything, because one time there was an expense from a restaurant. It was supposed to be $30, but then they charged $300. So he was able to catch that mistake. Like, he's that detail, right, on the accounting. So I'm just like, wow, that's just too much. That's exaggerating, but it is actually responsible, right? So we're just extremes, and it's just one of those things where, just once again, as an individual, like if something were to happen to my husband, how am I going to be a steward of, what we have been given, and then how do I continue? And even as I grow, within my own business, just how am I a good steward, right, of all of these things. So I really think that, once again, it's just it's great to be a good team, but I feel like most of the credit goes to him, and I think that, just yes, taking it upon myself to change my mind around this is important.
I love that. And something that I like to tell my clients who have overdraft is kind of think of your overdraft as debt as well, right? Because it is kind of debt. It's just kind of, it's there to use. And then when you get paid, it's
Money
gone.
didn't have right, like using money, and it was mostly because there was not awareness of like checks and balances back then, right? I mean, that's like over 20 years ago.
Yes.
But it's interesting, right? So I'm proud that I'm not in that space, but it's just one of those things where, once again, how much of it depends on a team and how much of it depends on my own just ability to be a good steward, like the administration part of it, right? Like, I mean, you are given something, how do you manage it, right? So yeah, no, perfect. I loved what you shared.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Awesome.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Kristin. I'm excited to learn more from you. I think something that is a theme in the Rising Tide Fellowship is really recognizing where we are each individually being called to focus in this season. Like one focus, one season. And so I'm just going to release the fact that it's not my season to focus on finances. And so I'm harvesting wisdom today and tucking it away for when this is my season. And I have been feeling the nudge. So I'm like, okay, is this coming, God? Like, what's going on? But it's not my season right now. And so I want to always remind us all, like, when she's talking about like really sticking with it and finding your why and digging deep and tracking and having accountability, that's the same as if you were like, okay, in January I'm going to start exercising, go to the gym. Like, you pick one, but you can't give all of it to going to the gym and starting this new exercise journey and starting this new finance journey. We really have to pick one and let God and do his miracle work and bless the other arenas in our life through that obedience. And so that's something I just want to like let us all kind of off the hook a little bit and go, okay, is this my season? And when it is, I'll definitely be calling you, Kristin.
Absolutely. Yes. And I agree with you as well. There's situations like this year too, there was some stuff that wasn't for me during the one season. And I'm like, okay, maybe next season. And then I'm like, yes, I want to make it next season. I love that.
Does anybody else have anything to add before we let Kristin go? Thank you so much, Kristin. I will have this recording up in the Rising Tide Fellowship tomorrow morning. It'll be on YouTube, but privately for just for Rising Tide Fellowship members to access.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Good night.